Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd. So, as my friends at yarnspirations.com. Today we're going to do the Fancy Crochet Basket, originally written by me in 2017, just updated in 2024. What this is doing is using Caron Big Cakes, and you're going to marl the yarn, which means that you're going to be using two strands at the same time. So when you get your Caron Big Cakes, just like you see, you're going to grab the interior strand and the exterior, put it down onto the floor, so when it comes up into your hands that it's unraveling from the outside and the inside at the same time. And sometimes the colors will match each other, so the colors will all line up perfectly, and other times it'll marl just like this, and this basket is fabulous. So let's begin to do this. This basket is just absolutely fabulous, and let's begin. So let's begin. I have the outside and the interior of the ball, so it's a great way to use up those cakes just in case you don't know what to do with it. Use a 5mm size H crochet hook and put the yarn together as one. Okay, so we'll use those together. So we're double stranding so we get the marl effect, but we're also double stranding so we get the thickness so that this basket will sit up on its own. So let's begin. We're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and insert your hook into the beginning chain right there. So just make sure that you always treat it, the two strands, as if they're one strand. So just yarn over, pull through and through, and therefore there's the center ring. It's going to be tight. Put this around the center ring, and we're going to begin round number 1. To begin, chain 1, and in the center of that ring you need to put 8 single crochet. We're going to count those together. So 1, 2, 3. So just going around that straggler will secure it in. We have 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Once you have that done, you can cut that straggler out and get that out of your way so that you don't have to worry about it. And then you're going to slip stitch to the top of the first one. So if you're not sure, just count back the tops of the stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and slip stitch to the 8th one back. So even as an experienced crocheter like I am, I still always count back to make sure that it's proper. Let's move on to round number 2. So I'm going to be giving you the instructions for every starts of the rounds here, and then you're going to complete that and put me on pause when you need to. Round number 2, chain 1, and then in each of the single crochet, just place in 2 single crochet. So you're going to be doubling the amount of stitches. Okay, so put 2 into each all the way around, and put me on pause now and maybe at the end of the round in a moment. Okay, so once you have that done, this always looks like it's a stitch. It's not. It's just part of the original. So there's 16 tops of the stitches, just in case you want to verify that. And those are left in the pattern as well, so you can see that. So slip stitch to the beginning, and let's begin round number 3. Round number 3, chain 1, and in the same one as the join, you're going to put 2 single crochets into that one. So 1 and 2. And then the next one is going to be 1 single crochet by itself, and that's going to be your repeat around. Okay, so the next one will have 2 into it, so 1 and 2, and then the one after that will just have 1. Please do that same pattern all the way around for round number 3. Coming up all the way around, continuing in that same pattern, there'll just be 1 into the last one, slip stitch to the beginning, top of the single crochet, and let's move on to round number 4. Okay, let's go on to number 4, chain 1, 2 single crochets in the same one as the join. So we have 1 and 2. And then the next one, 2 are going to be by itself. So we have 1 and 2 by itself. Okay, so the repeat is there's going to be 2 into the first one. And then the next 2 are by itself. Please do this around for round number 4. Finishing up round number 4, keeping in the same sequence, and just slip stitch to the top of the first single crochet, and let's move on to round number 5. Round number 5, chain 1 and place 2 single crochets in the same one as the join, and this time we're going to place the next 3 by themselves. So we have 1, 2, and 3. Make sure you get both of those strands. And so the sequence then is 2 into the next, and the next 3 by themselves. Please do this around for round number 5. At the end of number 5, slip stitch to the beginning single crochet, and let's move on to round number 6. Okay, round number 6, we're going to start chain 1 and put 2 single crochets into the first one. Sorry about the dog, I can't help that. And then we're going to put 4 in a row by itself. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then the repeat again is 2 into the next, 1 and 2, and then the next 4 by itself. Please repeat that cycle all the way around for round number 6. At the end of number 6, just slip stitch to the first one, and let's begin number 7. Round number 7, chain 1, put 2 into the first one, and then the next 5 in a row are going to be a single. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to give you a tip. Do you see how there's 2 into here? It's always the first one of the 2 that is the increase. Okay, so you put 2 into the next, and then the next 5 are by itself. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you see that there's the 2. It's always the first one that has the increase. Please do that around for round number 7. At the end of round number 7, just slip stitch to the first single crochet, and let's move on to round number 8. So we're going to continually increasing this until we get to round number 13, as that's the finishing of the growth. And so round number 8, we're going to start by chaining 1 and put 2 into the first. So 1 and 2, and then the next 6 in a row are by itself. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so the next one has 2 into the same one, and then the next 6 are by itself. Please repeat that around for round number 8. Finishing up round number 8, slip stitch to the top of the first single crochet, and let's move on to round number 9. Round number 9, chain 1, put 2 single crochets into the first, and now the next 7 in a row are by itself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And so the next one is the repeat, so it's going to be 2 into the next, and then the next 7 in a row are by itself. Please do this around for round number 9. At the end of round number 9, just slip stitch to the top of the first single crochet, and let's move on to round number 10. Round number 10, chain 1, 2 single crochets into the first, and now the next 8 are by itself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now the next one has 2 in it, and then the next 8 are by itself. Please do this around for round number 10. At the end of round number 10, slip stitch, and let's move on to round number 11 next. Round number 11, chain 1 and 2 single crochets into the first one as the join. And now the next 9 in a row are singles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and we have the 9, And now we have 2 into the next, and then the next 9 are by itself. Please do that same pattern around for round number 11. At the end of number 11, it's just slip stitch. And let's move on to round number 12. Round number 12, chain up 1, put 2 single crochets into the first one as the join. And now the next 10 are by itself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and now 2 into the next, and then 10 by itself. Please repeat that around for round number 12. At the end of round number 12, of course, you're just going to slip stitch, and we're moving on to round number 13, which will be the final of the growth next. Round number 13 is the last time we're going to get bigger, and we're going to chain up 1, and we'll put 2 into the same one as the slip. And now the next 11 are by itself. So starting off, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And now the next one is 2 into the same, and then 11 on its own. Please do this around for round number 13. So I'm going to slip stitch to the end, and this completes round number 13. We're going to be moving now to the beginning of the side, and we need to start bending this project so that we can climb up the side, and that'll be happening on the first round of the beginning of the side. As we do the beginning of the side, we're going to chain 1, and then what we're going to do is a certain amount of stitches and then 2 together to make it a little bit smaller. So we're going to be eliminating 4 stitches in this next round to help the bend. So you're going to chain 1 and going into the back loops only. So when you go into the stitches, you see that there's a full stitch, but if you just favor the back one here, this will cause a bend. So just slide down the first one, the one that you have the join, and just start counting these out loud to yourself. Okay, and so we're going to begin, and we're going to do that one, and now we're going to count to 23. So continue along. So 1, 2, 3, and you'll see a line happening here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. So the first one that we did plus the 23 gives you a count of 24. So the next 2 are going to become together. So you're going to go into the next back loop, yarn over, pull through, and do the next one, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through all 3 loops. That's a 2 together single crochet in the back loop. So the remaining of this pattern is that you're going to do 24 stitches in a row in the back loop, and then 2 together, and continue that around. And so you'll be eliminating out a stitch from 104 single crochets down to 100. Please do this around, and I'll be right back. So when you're coming around, the last stitch will be a 2 together single crochet, and then slip stitch to the top of the first single crochet. And now we're moving on to round number 2. Round number 2, simple. Chain 1 and just go back to using the regular stitches and apply 1 single crochet in each of the stitches all the way around. You don't need to count, just do it. And I'll be right back at the end of round number 2. At the end of the second round, just slip stitch to the beginning. So the bend really hasn't started yet. It will happen really soon. We're going to continue to round number 3. In round number 3, I'm going to show you something that is not usually in the patterns, but it will help you get rid of a slip stitching line just because it's going to be that obvious if you leave it in. So just chain up 1, and in the first one, we're going to be doing what is called as a bead stitch. Okay, and we're going to, in the same one as a join, you're going to double crochet. Now really carefully, I want you to put the bead stitch around everything here, and it's going to require a little bit of practice. So we're just going to yarn over and just go around that clumping thing, just like that, and just carefully just do the first one like this. And then we're going to wrap it around again. Okay, and then wrap it around again. So this is the starting one right here. So you're going to yarn over, pull through all of this here, except for the first one, and then yarning over, pulling it through the final 2. And just be very careful with this one because there's nothing holding this from stopping from unraveling over top. And so when you come back around, you may have to push this back down, and we'll get there in a moment. You're going to skip the next stitch out, and you're going to do a double crochet, and then a bead stitch is going to go around that double crochet. So what I just did was kind of simulate that so that you will not see a slip stitch area. So you're going to yarn over, go around that post, pull through, yarn over around that post, pull through, and one more time, yarn over around the post, pull through. You're going to pull through everything but the final 2, and then pull through the final 2. So this counts as 2 stitches, just in case you want to know that. But next time what we're going to do is we're going to use the space in between these in order to play with that. So skip the next stitch, do a double crochet, and then a bead stitch around that. And I need you to do this all the way around. This is round number 3. It's called the bead stitch, and it's really quite fabulous and not that hard to do. So now that the last bead stitch is in, you're going to skip the very last one, and carefully, see how it's kind of just come up on itself? Just kind of push this down so when you slip stitch it, it stays horizontal. So just going in here on the top of that one stitch and bring it together. So therefore, it looks like it belongs together, just like this. Let's move on to the next round, round number 4. So this is a revision from the last time in 2017. Chain up 1 and put 2 single crochets in between the space of the bead stitch. 1 and 2. It's easier just to do that than it is to find the tops of these stitches. Go to the next space and place in 2 single crochets there. And you're going to do that all the way around for round number 4. So 2 single crochets in each of the spaces. So I'm coming around and I'm just going to slip stitch to the top of the first single crochet. So now we're going to continue along, and we have to turn our project completely. So turn it completely around and get ready for the 5th round next. To do this round, you're going to chain 1. It won't count as anything, but in the same one at the join, you want to, right here actually, you want to place a cluster. So how to do a cluster is that there's going to be 3 double crochets together into the same stitch. So just wrapping the hook and going in, pull through 2, and hold. And do that 3 times. So wrap and in, pull through 2 and hold. And one more time, wrap and in, pull through 2 and hold. And you will see a total of 4, just like that. So yarn over, pull through everything. Chain 1 and then move along. So you're going to skip the next one and go into the next one after that and do that cluster. So yarning over and in, pull through 2 and hold, around in, pull through 2 and hold, and in one more time, pull through 2 and hold. You'll see 4, pull through everything, chain 1, skip 1, and continue that all the way around. I'll be right back at the end of round number 5. So I'm following around. It's my last cluster going in. And then we're going to chain 1 and just join it to the top of the first cluster that we started with. Now before you continue, just pull nice and tight. Turn your project around again, and we're going to begin round number 6. Round number 6, chain 1, and see the spaces in between the clusters? I want you to put 2 single crochets in between the spaces. Again, it saves the need for counting stitches. So just going into the space, 2 single crochet, next space, and so on. Please do this around for round number 6. So coming around, I got my last space filled in, and I'm just going to put a slip stitch to finish this off. Let's begin round number 7, and it's the same thing as the bead stitch that we did down here. Let's begin that next. To start a new bead stitch, remember what we did, we chained 1 and we put a single crochet in the same one as the join, or sorry, a double crochet in the same one as the join. Carefully going around this, may take a bit of practice. We wrap once, twice, and 3 times. Okay, and then we carefully pull everything except for the final 2. Or sorry, except for the final 1. Okay. Looks like I have an extra one there. Just keep pulling. Okay, and now we're just going to pull through the final 2. So that, just practice with that. That one's a little tough, but it gets rid of the slip stitch look. Skip the next one and then double crochet in, and then bead stitch around that one. So it's just like what you know before. Okay, so zip around and do that, and then we'll be back, and we make sure that these ones here, see how they're leaning up, we'll pull them back down and slip stitch it to the top of that one when we get back around. Continue, and I'll see you at the end of the round. So I'm coming up back around, and so you see how this is kind of pulling up, just kind of pull it back down, and then just slip stitch to the top of that. Okay, and you can see that the marling has changed, so it actually just happens to be that the colors matched each other. Big deal, that's all part of the game. So let's begin and move on to round number 8. Round number 8 we've done before. We're going to chain up 1, and in the same space right directly below, you're going to place in 2 single crochets. Okay, and then just go to the next space and 2 single crochets, and you'll do this all the way around like you did before. Okay, just play it in the space. I'll see you at the end of the round. So I have 2 into the last space before I start, and just going to slip stitch. And at the end of this, we want to turn this back around like that, and we're going to start with another cluster like we did before. So to do the cluster, if you recall, it's just chain 1 and put 3 double crochet together into the same stitch. Okay, and then pull through all, chain 1, skip 1, and do the next. Okay, so it's what you already know. Chain 1, and so on. Please do this around. We're almost done this pattern, so let's continue, and I'll see you at the end of the round. Coming up to the end of the round, I have my last cluster and a chain 1, and I am going to slip stitch the beginning cluster that we started with. Okay, so before you continue, turn this back around. So you're looking at the outside of the project now, and we're going to continue on to the 10th round. So here we go, we're going to chain up 1 and just concentrate in between the clusters like we did before. Just slam in 2 single crochets in between the clusters. So you don't need to worry about counting the tops of the stitches, and just continue that around for round number 10. So at the end of the round, you're just going to slip stitch, and we have one more round to do. Let's begin the final round, number 11. Round number 11. You're going to chain up 1 and apply 1 single crochet in each. When I get back around, I'm going to show you a technique so that you don't have a lump on the top of your basket by finishing it off. So we won't be technically doing a slip stitch, and I'll show you a little cheating technique to avoid that. Just single crochet around. So I'm back around, and technically I would slip stitch if I was going to continue, but I don't want a lump on the top of my work. So I'm going to trim this yarn before I finish the final stitch. Okay, so the last stitch is done, and I want to pull up on it like this. And I have my 2 strands, so you'll need a tapestry needle that can hold the 2 strands at the same time. And what we want to do is we want to simulate that stitch using the tapestry needle. You'll see why in a moment. Okay, so you're going to go into your first stitch from the back to the front. Okay, so it's coming out of the stitch here. See the distance of these stitches? You want to match that same distance. So when you pull, keep pulling and make sure the strings are equal to each other. Strands are equal to each other. And when you pull, match it to the same length stitch that you can see. Go down, see how this one's coming out? Go down into that and go towards the interior of your bowl. And continue to pull that until that stitch matches. This is not technically a stitch, but you want to pull so it's like matching the same distance. See? Turn it to the inside of the bowl. And now you're going to secure these strands inside the ball. So just don't go between strands, go between the plies as well. And when you pull the first time, make sure you don't change the shape by pulling it too tight if it's already set for you. Okay, so if it's not looking the same, just now's your chance to fix it. Then go back in the opposite direction. And then back one more time here. So you don't want to go, this needle should never hit the outside of it, just stay within the interior of the strands. And now that you've gone back and forth 3 times, you can safely cut. And therefore, unless I told you, it'd be really quite hidden. So when the bowl is staged up, you won't see a lump that normally comes out. And this is how you finish this basket. We hope that you enjoyed, and please leave me a comment on how you did. We'll see you.